Hello and welcome to Camera Review. Today we are examining portable lights to use on set, and this is one I've used for a very long time. It has been out in the market for quite some time. It is Westcott Ice Light 2. Now the reason I'm doing this review is not because this is a light that is available, for a long time. I'm doing this because this light is still a great value for what it is and what it is available in the market. Now, as you know, they've got these bicolored lights that you can buy, the cheap Chinese versions. They got some new ones. They got the RGBW ones that is also coming out recently. But people have always asked me, say, should I get the bicolored one? Should I get the one that is RGB? Should I get the one that you have here, which is the daylight balance one? And a lot of people are confused about that. And that is what I'm going to talk about and why I use this rather than other lights in this on set and in different versions of it. Firstly, this is very compact, this is very light, and it has a very strong light output. As you can see, this is power 3, and then you can see how bright it is. And then as I put the power up, it just goes higher and higher, and this is very, very bright. So I will turn this off so not to disturb your eyes, but this is wonderful because it has a detachable battery that you can take out, and it's something like this, and you can just flip the other one. You don't have to plug this in to get it charged on set. Before, the previous version had to have the battery charging on the itself, the unit, so you couldn't take the unit off the set and change the battery. You had to charge the actual unit. So this way it is far more compact, far more easier. I have several of these batteries, so when I go on set I'll just use this. And then there is this plastic that comes on here that allows it to turn it to tungsten, and it's a kind of an orangish yellowish kind of gel that sits in here and turns it into tungsten. So you might be asking yourself, why not get a bicolor one? Well, there are several reasons. First of all, the bicolored ones means that about half of the LED lights have to be of a different color. So you're going to lose about half the power of a potential output that this light might have if it was bicolor. Secondly, if you want tungsten, you wouldn't have probably less of those light inside that's going to give you the light output. So for me, the purity of those lights is far more important than actually the way that it functions. We know that this is going to be daylight. It's going to be very close to the perfect number. There is no variation on it. But if you take a bicolored light and you try to move it up in scale, and you take a color meter to measure it, like the ones I do in Sekonics ones, I find that the colors are not accurate. And as you move throughout the scale, let's say you put a little bit of yellow in it, you put a little bit of tungsten in it, what you're going to find is the colors do not really match. So it's going to create problems when you have a situation where you're, for example, filming and you have different types of lights on the same subject. You're going to have color tonalities that's going to be different. The only way truly matching it is to make sure that both lights are the same output and has the same kind of color temperature straight out of the factory. And that is going to create all kinds of problems. That is why I like to have a single unit that is going to put exactly what that temperature is. So if I lower the output on this, there is going to be no variation in the color temperature, or it's going to stay within a very narrow range. That guarantees what I'm going to film is going to give me that look. Also, this is incredibly useful for putting it into tight spaces. You can put it into closets, you can put it into refrigerators to get those classic refrigerator shots, or you can have it gelled with a green or a blue to create the dashboard lights. You could do all kinds of things, and it is just beautiful because it fits everywhere and does not require external battery. It just requires you to put it into a place where it's great to use it. And also what I do like is that you can hold 2 or 3 of these in your hand and be able to get a look that is going to give you a lot of light. You can actually have 2 pieces connected to each other and close it to like a lightsaber that you might see from Star Wars. Similarly, You can have one of them in your hand, and the other one you can put it onto a stand, and as you move this, you create effects like moving lights, moving things, moving flashes. These are very, very useful. This originally was designed by Westcott by the input of a famous Australian photographer, and he uses it exclusively for photography, which it is possible because you're going to use it in a way that is going to light your subject with a soft light. The front panel on this is very diffuse, so it gives you that soft diffusion. And because the fact that you're going to put this close to the subject, which is, let's say, 3 or 4 feet, or let's say a meter, you're going to get that soft diffuse light. As also, it has these barnos. I use them all the time to channel the light in a certain way that it doesn't have spill everywhere else. So that, I think, is a great piece of equipment that I would recommend if you're going to purchase this. What I like to use it is when I'm doing product photography, because in that little sliver of light that is hitting it from the side of the object that I'm photographing, it creates this beautiful catch light, the soft light that accentuates the contours of an object, and that for me is very, very special. Also, when I use this, I know that it's going to last me about 2 hours, and I have used these batteries. I store them for about 2-3 months. They still held their charge for 80 to 90% of its power, which means that this is something that I can rely on. The batteries are solid. 2 hours, that means if I have 4 batteries, it's going to be more than sufficient to get me through a day's shoot, because when I put one of them on charge, it takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours to charge. And by the time I finish the second one, the first one is ready. But I always like to have backups, so I have 2 batteries that are operational, 2 batteries that are on charge. As soon as those go on, I still know that I can have 2 or 3 batteries on reserve to get that. Also, Jerry Giannis is the designer, or the person that I was talking about, the photographer. This is something that is great. I think that Westcott has done something wonderful, is to collaborate with famous photographers and people who are in the business to ask their opinion, ask them how would you like this to be done, and they give great ideas. There is, for example, Hurley Set, which is also a very, very famous photographer. He's a kind of a headshot photographer out of New York, Peter Hurley. He kind of revolutionized the way that we take photographs for our pages for professional things like LinkedIn. And he, for example, has a lineup of things that are very useful for his photography. For those people who are on the move, like wedding photographers, this creates incredible solution, because you can just take this and add accent lights, you can add hair lights, you can have kind of a soft glowing light that is going to help you. My assistants usually carry 2 or 3 of these on their backpacks, and then what happens is I ask them, take it out and give me some light here and give me some light there. Oftentimes the gels that I use are already in the pack, because this thing doesn't get hot. I'll put the gel on it, tape it, and it's just good to go. And gaffer tape is a wonderful unit thing that you can put on it, and it doesn't leave marks, it doesn't leave streaks, so it's wonderful. And the fact that you can adjust this is so great, because the output is also very crucial. Sometimes you don't need 100%, you need maybe 60% or 40%. It gives you that ability, and that's for me very, very crucial. It is for these kind of reasons that I think that well-built unit that's going to last you many, many years is going to be the one that you should be looking into. Now, before this unit, it was costing about almost $500. It dropped down to about $300 to $400 range, depending on where you're going to look for it. I think it's a great investment. I'm going to provide you with links down below in the description section that's going to tell you where you can get them for the best price. Even maybe you can find them on used. But I've seen anybody who buys these, they never sell them. I certainly don't sell them, because I know that they are very dependable, they are very useful, and they provide incredible usefulness when you are on set. For those who want to use it as a kind of a combination thing, I've seen people stack 4 or 5 of these next to each other to create a strong light, and I think that's a nice fair output. The outputs are there. You can check on the website of Westcott. You can see how much lumen it has and how much of a output they have in, for example, lux or foot candles. For me, I think my judgment is how well does it light, how soft it is. I usually throw a diffuser in front of this, and it creates this broad, soft light, and I don't need to carry around big soft boxes, which is wonderful, because let's see, if you go out there and you want to photograph or you want to film something, you don't want to be carrying around like 4 or 5 bags. It's going to take time and space and setup time. This one, I don't even have to set it up. I put 3 or 4 of them together, and then what happens is that I'm able to film it just with that light. And now the camera's having this high ISO range is giving me that low light performance, and this is beautiful because it's soft. I don't have to diffuse it that much, and because it's close to the subject, it's giving that beautiful gradation of tonalities that happens from going light to dark, dark to light. It is something very, very useful. Now, would you be saying that if you bought this you would not buy an RGBW? I would buy a RGBW not because of its light output, but its other capabilities that come with it. Like, for example, they have stored in things like TV flickers or police car flashes and all those things. Those are things that are useful on set, but they're not the ones that are going to make your lighting success, because those are things that are extra, besides the fact that you're going to have to light up the subject. Lighting up the subject comes first. You got to get the right lights, get everything done, and then you can do the practicals, and then you can decide what you're going to incorporate into that scene. If it's going to be police car lights, then by all means put that RGBW, but you're not going to have gels and everything else affect your shot. If you put this on with a gel, it's going to give you steady light. So only time that I found RGBW is very, very useful is if you're going to have simulation effects of creating a certain look. For that reason, I think the RGBWs still have a long way to go. The prices are going to probably drop within the next year or so. But for an investment point of view, this has stood the test of time, and I think they will still be in the market for quite a long time. I don't see any way of upgrading this other than the fact that they make the two sides have lights, so you have lights coming out on all sides. But I think even then, this is just wonderful. I've seen Chinese versions that have one side on, one side off, or you can have both sides on. But I think you need to be able to control the way the light is. So having it on one side only, I think works great. So it stops the spill. And as I said, if you have questions, please drop it in the section below in the comments, and I'll answer your questions. If you need advice on which lights to buy, where to buy them, I can answer those questions as well. Also, there are links to alternatives to what this may be, or RGBW lights that you may want to look into. I provide those links again in the description section. Also, I have reviews on other lights, light fixtures that are for film sets. So please check our website as well as our YouTube channel for those things. So I hope to see you in our next review. Thank you for watching.